Hello, I'm Patrick Gibbs, captain of the USS Slicc Fliccs. And I'm Paul Gibbs, first officer of the USS Slicc Fliccs. And you're watching a special episode from Salt Lake Comic-Con FanX. Hi, I'm Paul Gibbs.
And I'm Patrick Gibbs.
One of the biggest things to hit Utah in recent years has been Salt Lake Comic-Con. It's been a huge event, and it just keeps growing and setting more and more attendance records.
Today, we're actually bringing you a special episode of Slicc Fliccs, and we're going to be interviewing Dan Farr, the creator of Salt Lake Comic-Con.
But first, let's take a look back at April's Comic-Con FanX. Slicc Fliccs was there, geeking out with everybody else, especially to the Star Trek stuff. Take a look at some of the highlights from our FanX experience.
Hi, my name is Zach Galligan, and you're watching Slicc Fliccs, but don't feed these guys after midnight.
You have your own, what do you call it, film crew. Film on 11.
We're talking with Kelly Hu was star of X-Men 2 and the best show on TV, Phineas and Ferb.
I love that you love Phineas and Ferb.
What was it like fighting Hugh Jackman?
Everybody asks that question. He is amazing. He's such a gentleman and just a kind soul, really kind heart. And he was amazing at martial arts. I mean, the guy never studied before, but he was a dancer.
Well, I feel like Doctor Who was actually like my 3 years of drama school. I feel like I covered every emotion possible in that TV show, including multiple death reactions because Rory kept dying.
Please, there, now you've made me do it.
We got a lot of good things coming.
You're a slick flicker.
FanX was a lot of fun, and the man behind the excitement is here with us today.
We're here with Dan Farr, the creator of Salt Lake Comic-Con, to discuss not only FanX and previous Comic-Cons, but what's in store for the future, including Comic-Con this fall from September 4th to 6th. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Thanks for having me here. It's
Welcome
nice.
to Slicc Fliccs. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
So, where did the idea come from in the first place to do a Comic-Con in Salt Lake?
I was actually, I started about 3 or 4 years ago. I was a vendor at some of the regional Comic-Cons, and we're selling some software. And when I went there as a vendor, I got caught up in the energy and the excitement that's involved in a Comic-Con. Nothing is as wildly successful and as exciting as what we've seen here in Salt Lake, but even at smaller levels of maybe 10 to 20,000 people, those conventions were really exciting. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, I know that I'm from Utah. I know the Utah fans here are amazing, and I thought, well, we need to bring one here.
That's great. You know, for those of us who've wanted to go on to one in the past, but kind of can't afford to make the pilgrimage to San Diego and go, it's really been a great thing to have it here. Did you knew the fans in Salt Lake would support it? Did you have any idea it was going to become as big as it has?
Well, based on the other conventions I had been attending, I had built an expectation of somewhere between 10 to 20,000 people is what we were anticipating up front. And then as we started selling tickets, we started out at the Southtown Convention Center, and we were selling out. We had one hall, and then we realized we needed 2, and then 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and eventually we realized we were too big for the Southtown Convention Center. And so by the time the convention came around, we knew it was going to be big. We still didn't realize it was going to be as big as it got.
Right. It just kind of blown up into this huge thing. Before the first Comic-Con, I was speaking to a friend who had just been at the San Diego Comic-Con, and there was kind of an attitude of, oh, you're having a Comic-Con in Salt Lake? That's nice.
Yeah,
like cute. It was kind of like, yeah it was kind of cute.
Yeah.
Especially after FanX was over, and that same friend was like, you saw Nathan Fillion, you saw Karen Gillan. Nobody's looking at it as cute anymore.
No, we definitely, because of the support, have put ourselves on the map, and it's one of the things that there really is a Comic-Con industry out there. Everybody thinks of San Diego Comic-Con, but there's a New York Comic-Con, which is a really big event. There's the Chicago Comic-Cons. There's a couple of them there. Every city, I've heard numbers of 600 different Comic-Con type events that go on around the country every year. So it is a big industry, and Salt Lake City is talked about everywhere you go. I mean, people are saying, yeah, wow, something's going on in Salt Lake. We need to figure out what it is, because I'd mentioned the other Comic-Cons that I had gone to before, like let's say New Orleans. And they had Norman Reedus and Stan Lee. One year I went there, Norman Reedus, Stan Lee, William Shatner. All those guys were there at that Comic-Con that had maybe 10 to 12,000 people. So it just kind of gives you an idea of how we've come out with record-setting attendance.
Absolutely.
Great.
So what have been some of your favorite parts of Comic-Con so far? Things that you're particularly proud of or that you particularly enjoyed?
I'd say I feed off the energy of the fans, of the excitement of the fans. I love to just take it all in. And if I see somebody, like I'll walk by the celebrity line and I see somebody meet one of the celebrity guests, and you can see him kind of having that exciting fan moment. We all know what that is. And when you see that happen, it makes me excited. And when I see people having a kind of a geek moment with a comic book artist or the vendors that are there, all that stuff, I get energized by that.
One moment that has become kind of famous more than kind of famous from FanX. It was an amazing moment to be there, and it's gone all over the internet.
I need to personally thank every single one of you on stage. I speak for everyone in this room. You have touched my life in a way you could not. F-E-E-T, on the account of me not having it. I got my legs blown off in Iraq. I would love to tell you my story. I don't really have that much time, but I suffer from PTSD. For real. Not that crap you hear about. And I will tell you, the thing that has pulled me from my darkest of craziest places has been this cast right here. And I come home now, and you were the faces I turned to in my time of need and in my time of desperation. I don't know, for countless hours of comfort and wisdom, and you didn't know you were preaching to us. You were talking to every single person in this room.
Well, that's, I've been
Wow, feet.
I've been in front of an audience for many years, and doing this probably is the most emotional moment I've ever been connected. These young men who come back from the wars with wounds that we can't see and wounds that we can see, we have no idea what they go through. And for a moment here, we have a small insight into the sacrifices that these kids make for this country. Just as
and most people will probably already be familiar with it, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. That amazing moment in the Next Generation panel with the gentleman who was a veteran who told them about how much they had gotten him through his hard times.
That was,
what was that like, being there?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things about an event like this. You can't create the real life stuff. I mean, you can bring together fun elements. You can have great entertainment set up. You can have fun celebrities. But a moment like that is so organic and real, you can't create that. You know, I just remember looking up at the screen and seeing, because I was actually backstage, and so I wasn't watching from front stage. I was just behind it, so we could see the reverse version of the screen in the backstage. And I look up, I see William Shatner breaking out. You know, I mean, he's like, he has a hard time even saying his words. You can tell he was touched. And, you know, that's a man, I don't want to say he's jaded, but he's had a lot of life experiences. And so for him to break down like that, and of course the other cast members that broke down because it was so touching, because you realize that, you know, here's a man, you know, his nickname's Feet because he has no feet, he has no legs. So that's what he introduced himself as, and he lost his legs in protecting us, giving us our freedom, and to think of somebody that would do that. We had the opportunity after the next day to talk with him, and there's a couple of us there, and we were all just in tears. I was embarrassed because I was bawling like a baby when I was just hearing his story, because he went to all the detail of how it happened and everything, and you just realize what a great person to dedicate his life to helping us in that way, and then to continue to touch us, because that story that he shared continues to resonate with us, and the sacrifices that people make for us.
I remember several of the Star Trek cast members saying that they'd never experienced something like that at a convention before, and here we're talking about cast members of Star Trek. If there's anybody that's had every possible convention experience, it's Star Trek cast members.
That's exactly right, and I think, because I had Jonathan Frakes come up to me in the green room after, and he told me, he said, Dan, and this was a couple days later, he said, Dan, this of the like 20 some odd years that I've been doing conventions, this is the best convention I've been to that he's done. And Marina Sirtis said the same thing. Both of them told me independently, they said, you know, I'm not trying to brown nose you, this is the best convention. And I'm sure that experience was one of the key reasons why they would say that.
Absolutely. Agreed, and I think that's one of the things that's really special, is not only are we as fans walking away from this with moments that we will carry with us the rest of our lives, the celebrities are walking away with it too, and absolutely, like you said, they're not trying to brown nose you. I think anyone who saw any one of Marina Sirtis's appearances here knows that she's not going to say something if she doesn't mean it.
Yes.
Right.
Now, this year we already had FanX, and now we'll have Comic-Con in the fall. So having two of these major events in 1 year is a pretty big deal. Do you think that Salt Lake can bring up the same level of enthusiasm for this twice in 1 year?
Well, we've already had ticket sales that are 3 to 4 times to, you know, this far out from the convention. So if you're looking at an equal date last year, and also for FanX, the same distance out, we're about three to 4 times the number of tickets that have been purchased than we were at this time last year.
Great.
Impressive.
Yeah.
For those of us who have been to both of the previous events, and specifically with this being twice in 1 year, what are you doing to make Comic-Con 2014 distinct and different from FanX?
Well, one of the things that's nice is it gives us a chance to bring out a lot of new celebrities. We are also bringing out a few alumni celebrities. They were such big fan favorites last time. It's kind of hard to not want to bring them back again.
I'm very excited to have Kevin Sorbo returning, and
Lou Ferrigno, Manu Bennett,
all those.
Yeah, and maybe even a few more. We'll see. But so we can keep it fresh that way, and that's one of the exciting draws. But one of the things too is we're bringing out new artists, but even if we bring out older artists, they've created new artwork. So if somebody's a fan of Jamie Tyndall or Greg Horn or any of those artists, they'll come and be able to see their new work and get new collectible items. And we do have new vendors, of course, and some of the same vendors, but there's always new merchandise. So so just by nature, even if we brought it back 100% the same cast, there would be a different offering.
Absolutely.
Right. On that subject, for me, with the two cons, William Shatner to me has kind of become the celebrity face of Salt Lake Comic Con, with him appearing at both, and he's brought something new to each one. And there's a guy that guy knows how to play an audience and make them happy, just get them into the experience. Do you think, if not this one in the fall, do you think we may see him back in the future?
Well, what's funny is he and our governor have hit it off really well, and like they've had dinner together. The governor's wife took him out to dinner when they were here the first time, and the second time, the governor and his wife spent most of the day at Comic-Con, and probably at least an hour or two with William Shatner specifically. They really have kind of bonded, and after before the governor left, he said, well, make sure you bring William back next time, or Bill as they call it. Bring Bill back next time. So we have to see. I mean, we obviously do, like we said, we do need to kind of rotate the cast a little bit, but he is a fan favorite, and will be in Salt Lake again, I'm sure. Whether it's in September or down the road, he loves it here.
Great. We've talked about how the event has grown from Comic-Con 2013 to FanX to Comic-Con 2014 coming up. Where do you see all of this going, say, in 5 years' time?
Our goal is to have it mentioned right up there with San Diego Comic-Con. I mean, we want people to think of the Salt Lake Comic-Con as and I'd say we want to differentiate ourselves from San Diego in the sense that we really want to be about the fans. The San Diego Comic-Con has become, I've heard terms like commercial, or become more, it's very exclusive, you can't get into it, and so we want to really stay a fan-focused event, but being a pillar like that. So people always talk about Salt Lake Comic-Con. We will never have, I don't want to ever have any issues talking celebrities into coming, because they all know, and when they're here, we treat them well, the fans treat them great, and it's gonna be a pillar event.
Great. I'm really looking forward to it. When we come back for our next segment, we'll be talking about the film festival going on in conjunction with this year's Salt Lake Comic-Con.
So stay tuned for more of this special edition Comic-Con episode of Slicc Fliccs. Same bat time, same bat channel.
This is my Stitch Jedi outfit, extra fluffy on the galaxy side.
We have the best fans in the world, there's no question.
Expectations probably the same as one, but even bigger and better. I mean, one was pretty awesome. Our first Comic-Con was pretty awesome. So this second one, we've got a lot to live up to, and we got to make it even bigger than last time.
Welcome back to this special Salt Lake Comic-Con edition of Slicc Fliccs.
We're here with Dan Farr, the creator of Salt Lake Comic-Con. One of the big things that's going on with Comic-Con this year, and it's one that has us excited because we're filmmakers, is the film festival. What can you tell us about this event?
Well, the film festival for us is, it was kind of, last year before our first Comic-Con, we thought, why don't we create something that gets more community involvement with the event, and so we decided to start with the film festival, and we had great turnout last year. It was a lot of fun, and so we decided to do it again. We want to make it an annual event to follow along when we do the Comic-Con. We didn't do a film festival at the same level for FanX, but we want to do the annual Salt Lake Comic-Con Film Festival this year. So
great. So tell me about, do you have any films lined up that are coming, or are there any submissions that you're excited about at this point, or is this still all kind of coming in?
It's still coming in, yeah. So that's stuff that we do have our reviewers that are looking into the films, but hearing that we're getting some great things, especially locally. That's what's fun for us, is to see the local talent that comes together in this. We do try to bring in stuff from around the nation just to keep it fresh and exciting that way, but we want to really highlight our local filmmakers.
Which, speaking as a local filmmaker, that's great, because we tend to get excited every time a film festival comes into Utah, and then they don't seem to highlight local filmmakers very much, so it's great to have that kind of opportunity. As a local filmmaker, you're working hard all the time to get these films off the ground, and you want somewhere to show them, so it's really a great opportunity for local filmmakers. I understand you're actually showing the films at one of the Megaplex theaters this year?
We are, yeah. The Megaplex at the Gateway Center. And they're a great partner to have, and they're helping to make sure that we've got a good viewing experience for the people, for the films.
So local filmmakers will have a chance to actually see their own films
in theater settings.
In theaters, at the same theater that they're seeing the summer blockbusters. And,
right.
As a filmmaker, that's kind of a geek out moment.
Absolutely,
for me.
Yeah.
So I know that as part of the film festival, you have the Vortex Film Festival, where people pick a science fiction subgenre and make a film of that. But is there also a larger film festival where people can enter films with less specific requirements than joining that competition?
We're looking at all submissions, and so yeah, so we create a theme just to kind of give a focused area for people to go after, but we are looking at all films, and if it's got to have some sort of Comic-Con related theme to it, right, somewhere along the way, but we are open to other films.
That's great. Now, will this be going on at the same time as Comic-Con is going at the Salt Palace?
It will be. It'll be going on, so people will have some shuttles running back and forth. It's only 2 blocks away. It's very close. I mean, people don't necessarily think of how close it is. You could walk there in just a couple of minutes too, and it's also, we're looking at having extended hours as well. So after the con ends, after the exhibit floor closes, that maybe there'll be another film or two that will be shown later in the evening.
Great.
Great. Who do you have judging the films? Do you have a panel of...
Well, Blake Castleman heads our committee for the film festival, and so he's selecting some people from the film community here. You know, one thing I was going to comment earlier on is that the Utah film industry is just, it's starting to become legitimate, you know, and you guys know what I'm talking about, yes, where up till, you know, only the last couple of years, people think, oh, Utah for filming, and I mean, we know how much stuff has been filmed here. It's been great, but usually it's bringing in a crew from California, you know, but using the beautiful locations. But now there's actually an amazing talent pool of filmmakers here in Utah.
Yeah, just the number of people that I know that have worked on films like John Carter, Lone Ranger, 127 Hours. I was even in that one as an extra. Darling Companion. All of these
going on all the time.
And people that are living here in Utah working as filmmakers and able to get pretty steady work in the industry as it just keeps exploding.
And when you're talking about more of the locally produced films, not just the Hollywood ones that come here, I know that Mythica with Kevin Sorbo
Yes.
is premiering at Comic-Con this year.
That is going to be exciting, yeah. I'll tell you kind of a funny story on that is, you know, I'd met the guys that do Mythica, and we just were talking one day, and I said, hey, you guys should look at using Kevin Sorbo in one of your films. And so I kind of brokered a discussion there between the two of them, and I said, okay, if you guys do a film together, you owe me ice cream. And nobody's paid me, Kevin or Jason, those guys, they haven't given me ice cream yet, so they owe me.
Yeah, hopefully they're watching this episode.
And Mythica it's a 3 series, so I think I get 3.
Absolutely, I definitely think that's the case. Kevin Sorbo does seem to, through these events, he seems to be making a lot of projects in Utah. So
he loves it here. He does. He's got in fact, he has a place up in Park City, Deer Valley. He's had for several years, and you know, he comes out with his family for family vacations, and so he loves Utah, and he's really, he's enjoyed the film community here, and I think we'll see a lot more of him.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to work with him at some point. That'd be a lot of fun.
But one of the things that I love about Comic-Con is that it's not about, oh, you have to like this and not like that. There's so much variety for it. If you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a Star Trek fan, if you're a Marvel fan or a DC fan, there's something for everybody, and you don't have to.
We can all get along. It's a world where we can all get along.
I remember about 20 years ago going to a late night screening of the original Star Wars trilogy, and I happened to be wearing my Spock t-shirt, and I had people there that I thought were going to lynch me. But at Comic-Con, I can watch Billy D. Williams' panel and then stay and watch Brent Spiner's right after that.
Well, what I love is those shirts that say coexist, and they have images from, you know, all the different movies and things, you know, to make that up, and it's true. I mean, I picked up on that phenomenon. I was at WonderCon in Anaheim, I think it was maybe 2.5 years ago now, and I was walking out in the front area, and I look around at all these people in costumes. You've got heroes and villains and cartoon characters, and, you know, like Yo Gabba Gabba or whatever, and they're all in this area, this common area, and they're all friends. You know, playing hacky. You know, see a Wookiee playing hacky with someone. You know, but I looked around. I thought, hey, we can all get along. This is the world where everybody gets along.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When we're back, we will talk more with Dan Farr, creator of Salt Lake Comic-Con. Next, we'll be talking about some of the celebrity guests coming to Comic-Con 2014.
Holy and Dynamite, can we be best friends? Can I just come hang out at your house? It'll be a blast. We'll play Parcheesi or something. It'll be fun.
Bruce, I'm a huge fan, and if you give me one hug, I'll be fine for the rest of my life. I don't care if whatever happens to me. Oh, it's my only dream. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Christopher Lloyd.
Let's be honest. The only suggestion everyone wants is more Power Rangers. Let's be honest. You love them. I love them. Everybody loves them.
I'm so excited for Kevin. Like, it's not possible to meet this man too many times. The last time he came, we were at a promotional for another station, and Dan Farr was there, and I had to come up and thank him personally for bringing Kevin. I said, this is the only man in the world that I need to meet, and you've brought him, and my dreams have come true not once but now twice, and I'm so excited. I turned into a fangirl, and my husband just rolls his eyes, and he's really supportive, thank heavens. But this man gives the very best hugs in the world. Very best hugs. I'm so excited. So excited. Like, I'm starting to get jittery thinking about it. It's just 2 months.
Welcome back to Slicc Fliccs, where we're talking about all things Comic-Con.
A huge part of Comic-Con is the celebrity guests that come to the event. Take a look at some of the people that are coming to this year's Salt Lake Comic-Con.
Stuck inside of the wrong frame. I don't feel attached to this thing. My body I must reclaim with different eyes and no shame. Try to just hear me out. Don't ask why, but I'm taking this road. It's alright, right? It's what I tell myself, but I don't know, no. So I ran till I couldn't, and I screamed till my voice is gone.
you've got some pretty exciting people lined up.
I know for me, the big one is Christopher Lloyd. That's
Yeah.
Every year I kind of pick one person that I kind of prioritize as this is the person I want to meet. And so far for me this year, it's Christopher Lloyd, because here's a guy who was in all 3 Back to the Future movies, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Star Trek 3,
Taxi. I still love him from Taxi.
Well, he's an icon. I mean, and the thing that's fun about bringing in someone like Christopher Lloyd is that we have, you know, that they do span so many genres, and it's, you know, who knows when Christopher might decide, okay, I've done enough fan appearances, and you know, I just want to go fishing or whatever.
Right.
So we love that opportunity to have someone like him.
Another one that I'm looking forward to, a film star, Carrie Elways. Now,
Yes.
I know most people.
I love Princess Bride.
Princess Bride is a great movie, and I know that's what most people will want to be asking about because that's his most iconic performance. For me, what I'm going to make sure I'm at his panel asking about
Glory.
Glory, one of my top 10 favorite films of all time.
I thought you were going to say Robin Hood, Men in Tights.
I actually haven't seen that one, but
Yeah.
Glory is to me one of my favorite films ever made. He's so good in that film, so I have all sorts of questions I want to ask him about that movie.
Right, and we get to see Ernie Hudson, who was originally going to be at FanX and is now coming to this as this is what, the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters? 25th anniversary of Ghostbusters.
No, I'm sorry, 30th of Ghostbusters, 25th of Ghostbusters 2.
Okay.
Which he was in Ghostbusters 2.
He's in both of them, so you know, one of the original 4 Ghostbusters. That's great to have him here.
And we'll actually be seeing a theatrical re-release of Ghostbusters in August, kind of leading up to this appearance of him here, which will be a lot of fun.
And aren't they filming a new one? Are they going to be doing?
They're in development on a Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 3. There's a lot of rumors back and forth as to how involved or not involved any of the original Ghostbusters will be.
Okay.
Now, another film star you've got that is a huge fan favorite, Bruce Campbell.
Bruce, oh yeah. And the thing is, he's not only is he a film fan favorite, he's a con favorite in the sense that he kind of comes into these events and he just has such large presence. When he does his panels are hilarious. I mean, he is just so engaging. When I see some of these people operate, I think, how does their mind work so quickly that they can think of what they think about on stage and be able to be so interactive? You know, he's not following a script when he's up there interacting with the fans. It's like he just wings it and comes up with the funniest things.
Yeah, he does. You know, I've had a chance to meet him once before, more than a decade ago. He was doing a signing of his book at Sam Weller Books here in Utah, and I remember asking him. At that time, he was doing a series called Jack of All Trades, which I really enjoyed, and it had just been announced that it was canceled. So my question to him was, now that Jack of All Trades has been canceled, what's next for you? And completely stone-faced, he looked at me and said, Jack of All Trades has been canceled?
Why didn't somebody tell me?
Yeah, it was a great moment.
Well, you know, there's an example of the kind of broad base you've got between film and television, because at that event, I actually remember just letting slip to someone that I had never seen the Evil Dead films. And they said, why are you here? Because I was a huge fan of The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. and some of his television work. And you've got some big TV names coming as well. I'm really looking forward to the Arrow panel that I assume is going to happen. You've got Stephen Amell, the star of the show, and then you've got Manu Bennett and John Barrowman, who's an icon from both Arrow and, of course, especially Doctor Who and Torchwood.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, it may be a logical conclusion that we would have a panel, but one of the things that's always challenging when the show's current, the production companies will many times try to prevent that without their involvement, and so there's no guaranteed Arrow panel. I mean, if we can put one together, we will, but we may have to cut through some red tape to get
Sure,
there.
there are always issues, and here a month before the new season begins. So I guess that.
But whether there's a panel or not, these 3 significant celebrities from Arrow are going to be here, and we get to see them talk. And
but it just, if there's not a panel that kind of hurts my plans to push you to bring Brandon Routh from Superman, who returns, who they just announced will be playing the Atom on Arrow, I guess I can't push. Oh, you've got to have him to complete the panel because we don't know if there'll be one.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. But yeah, he would be fun. I've seen him at some other conventions, and you know, what's nice though is there's some celebrities that you never see on any circuit anywhere, and so there's always those guys, and people say, oh, you should get so and so, and you're like, yeah, we'd love to get so and so, but he's never done it. And so, but now this industry is becoming so much more legitimatized that you're starting to see people, like I mentioned earlier, I heard that Michael Keaton's looking at conventions now, and
that would obviously I'm a big Batman I actually had Batman and Catwoman as my wedding cake toppers, so anything Batman related gets me excited.
Yeah, and you know, this year is of course the 75th anniversary of the creation of Batman the comic. It's the 25th anniversary of the Michael Keaton film, so it's a big Batman year right now. So that would be, just the idea that he's looking into cons is an exciting thing, and that leads us into, you know, with FanX, there was so much excitement in the weeks leading up to it. Who are we going to announce next, and all of the polls and everything. Just the fact that we actually got Nathan Fillion
and Patrick Stewart.
And Patrick Stewart right at the last minute. That was
probably the two most requested stars at that time. So I assume we can expect to hear more announcements. We've got a while until this happens.
Yeah, we do have some fun people that we just need to tie up a few loose ends before we can announce them. So there are already some people signed on, and then there's also a group of people that are in the offer stage and trying to find out if their schedules are going to work and all that. But we do have an amazing lineup, and I'll tell you one thing I shy away from saying is I never like to say, oh well, this guest is better than that guest. I never like to compare one versus the other, but we always do try to keep it fresh and exciting.
And I, you know, for me, Nathan Fillion was incredible. One of the coolest guests to me, still at this point, was Dwight Schultz from the original A-Team. Getting to meet him, that was what really pulled me into the first Comic-Con.
It's all about your own individual fandom. Who you're most excited about.
Right.
So when we mentioned that there were a lot of requests all over Facebook, Nathan Fillion and Patrick Stewart were two of the big names people were asking for. Who are people asking for this time?
Benedict Cumberbatch, Matt Smith. You know, the guys like that are towards the top of the list, and we're not sitting idly by. You know, I mean that's the thing on those guys. We would, if their schedules avail them, and if there's a way to work it out, we would have them there. So I mean, there's no question that we listen to what the fans say, and that helps to drive it.
You know, Benedict Cumberbatch was actually in the first film I ever reviewed on this show. That got me excited. I said, this guy with this long name that nobody can remember is going to be huge, and then now he is. So I was excited about that. So that's one I'd be very happy to see.
Well, what's fun about him is the voice of Smaug.
Oh yeah,
and Weta Workshop is going to be there again, like they were last September, but even with a bigger presence.
Oh wow,
that's great.
That's something I'm really.
And they supposedly have some element that they're going to be revealing in San Diego Comic-Con, which they haven't told me what it is, but it should be like 2 years prior they had brought the giant trolls. They had the 3 trolls, and that was the hit of the San Diego Comic-Con 2 years ago. Wow. And last year it was the Azog figure, and this year it's going to be something else they're going to reveal. That item is going to come, but plus we do have the trolls. We're bringing in the trolls. They're going to be here, which there'll be great photo ops with those things. It's going to be phenomenal.
And you've got Manu Bennett, the actor who plays Azog.
Yeah.
And you've got Dino Gorman, who plays Feely. So you've got behind and in front of the scenes of The Hobbit. So that's definitely fun for Tolkien geeks like us. Now, of course, the actors and those kind of people are some of the biggest marquee names, but you mentioned before, like comic book artists, authors, things like that. Those can be a really big deal to fans. At FanX, I got to meet Peter David, who's a novelist and comic book writer that I've always been a fan of. Is there anybody in particular that you think people will be excited for this year from those worlds?
We've got several of the artists and I think one thing that happens is when somebody comes to Salt Lake Comic Con, they don't want to miss any future events because the fans are so great to the people. So Neil Adams, for example, is going to be back, and he's iconic. He is one of the fathers, the founding fathers of the comic book industry. I mean, really with illustration and things. And we've got Rob Pryor is an artist that I've got to know personally, and he's someone that is so generous. He's always saying, hey, let me help you, let me do this. He's the one that did that Carl Urban illustration that we had for the last event. It was amazing.
All right. Well, we've got to wrap up, but I do have to ask you one last question, just to put you on the spot a little bit. If there were one celebrity, just completely hypothetically, that you could pick to see come to Comic-Con at some point here in Salt Lake, any thoughts as to who that would be? Well,
I'm going to kind of broaden it a little bit. I'd say any of the main Avengers, of course, I'd love to have. Johnny Depp, you're talking, because I'll tell you, it's more about the fans than it is about me personally. So.
Great answer, and I think that's why Comic-Con is so special, is because it is about the fans.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy we could have you here. Come back in just a few minutes and join Patrick and me for more Slicc Fliccs. A lot of fun talking to Dan Farr. He's a really nice, fun guy, and I like how much he actually seems to be into all the geek stuff. He's not just a business guy who organized this. He really geeks out the stuff too.
Absolutely. So we've got a lot to look forward to this fall with the next Comic-Con and beyond that.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what comes in the future. Maybe we'll reach the point where they're like making kind of big announcements at Salt Lake Comic Con that they make at San Diego now.
But in the meantime, we can just enjoy it. In the coming weeks, just staying glued to Facebook, to seeing what comes next. Because, as you said, there are going to be more announcements of people coming, and you never know who's going to come, because just last year at this time, the idea that we were going to get Nathan Fillion this soon, nobody thought it was going to happen.
I never thought that one was going to happen. I'm excited.
So the sky is really the limit in terms of you really can't pick somebody and say, no, this guy's never going to come, because they just keep surprising us.
Yes. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
That's it for this edition of Slicc Fliccs.
We'd like to thank Dan Farr and Dan Farr Productions for participating in this episode. And we'd like to thank Broovies Cinema Pub for having us here on location to shoot this very special episode. If you haven't had a chance to come to Broovies, check it out. It's a unique movie-going experience.
Next time, we'll be reviewing more movies. Until then, please turn off your cell phone and don't talk to the screen. It can't hear you.